it's gonna be about the same model that we taught last night. So there were multiple questions that am I gonna teach the uh, only the session cycle or another entry models. So the answer is there is another entry model, and that is the 5 rules which I have shared on my Instagram's highlight. So I will teach that on Wednesday, I guess. Until then, you can practice this session cycle, and you can backtest this as much as you can. On every one of you can take different pairs like Euro USD, GBP USD, AUD USD, US30 or SPX. So this works everywhere. So do remember that the kill zone for indices are different. Do remind me after the video so I can share that. Okay, so let's start. So I have to tell you something that on good days, this uh, session cycle works very well. Like on this 28th October, we had the Asian low that was swept during the London kill zone, and we had there must be lower time frame entry or like a 1 minute time frame over here. And where should your target would be the if you are entering below the uh, Asian low, so your first target would be the London sessions high. Okay, so there should be your first partial like 70% of the trade, because what happens is like in this scenario, the the New York kill zone started and it swept the liquidity above the this this London kill zone. Okay, so after this sweep of liquidity, we targeted this London kill zones low. Okay, so it I guess hit over here. That was a like one whole day trade. Okay, so what I will suggest you is, let's say you have a trade. Let me make this. Okay, this is the the basic sell model. Okay, you have the swept over here, you have the fair value gap entry over here. Now let's suppose you have the last low somewhere over here. Now instead of like targeting the full take profit over here, you can take your trade partials at 5 hour and 10 hour and so on. What I usually do is, I used to do when I learn this model, so I used to do 70% of my profits at 5 hour. Okay, so you can do the same, but I currently use the 10 hour. So you will get better with like experience or backtesting. So let's go to the one number now. In On this day, the like the session cycle works very well, right? So I will teach you what to do if you have scenarios like this, because the highs were set but we like they don't clear or reverse back to take the Asian lows, right? So let me go to the 1 minute time frame. Let the indicator is loading. 1 second. Okay, so we have this Asian session high over here. Okay, once this Asian session high is cleared, what you're gonna do is you're gonna drop to 1 minute time frames, as I said in the previous video. So let's see on 1 minute time frame. Do you have any entries over here or the market structure anywhere if you can see? No, because the closest market structure in this scenario would have been this one, right? You had no low over here, you had this low over here, but price did not tag or cross this, right? So it moved above. So this was ECB news, I guess, somewhere over there. So after this was another wick that swept the buy side liquidity like this one. My bad. Okay, so do you see any fair value gaps somewhere over here? No. Do you see the market structure? This was the last low that price made. Okay, this was not as clear as it should be, so I would have probably missed a trade over here. But this was valid fair value gap, so you could have a trade over here. Let's say you took a trade on the fair value gap, and in this scenario, as I told you guys, that if you have fair value gap and your stop loss is like wide, so you can drag your or refine your stop loss to the fair value gap candles high. Okay, so in only in this scenario, right? So this was the high of the fair value gap candle. Okay, and this is my entry. So let's say you take your first partial at 5 hour. Damn, this was exactly 5 hour. Okay, so let's say you take your first partial or at 5 hour, or even if you did trade at break even. Okay, let's say this trade hit your break even. Okay, now what you wanna do is you wanna wait for another market structure. If you see, this was the build up, the trend and liquidity on lower time frame. Okay, after this you had this 1 minute swept over here, and like this move over here, right, broke this structure, broke this lows, that was liquidity lows, right, and broke this last low over here as well. But do you see any fair value gap inside this? No. The only fair value gap that is present over here is this one. But this fair value gap candle had no market structure break. If you could have argued that this should be the market structure, but this would be the market structure only on 30-second time frame. But do remember, we are trading the 1 minute right now. So the lower your time frame, the lower your the lower. So after this 1 minute liquidity swap, what you see over here, this is your equal lows. And I told you, if you have equal lows and you have BPR, balanced price range, right, so you don't have to wait for the market structure shift. You can take the trade of the balanced price range. Okay, if you are new in the group, you can watch the previous video, so I have shared in that. So as one guy was struggling with BPR, if you have fair value gap on both sides at the same time, you can define it between the wicks of this, like this was the wick of the previous candle, this was the wick of the next candle. Okay, so this was the wick of the next candle. Now if I have to take the fair value gap, because this was the wick of uh, the candle ahead. Okay, now but we are taking the gap between these two, so ignore the wicks and just follow the gap where it is. Now this is where the gap, if you use Windows computer, so if you hold control, it's gonna turn on this magnet, and it will be automatically uh, get above the high, or high above the wick. Okay, so in this scenario, this was the balance price range. If I move this ahead, price exactly tags into it. Now let me show you how you can place your stop loss. Now if you have balanced price range, there are multiple ways you can place your stop loss. The first of them is this one. Okay, this is the riskier one, as you know, but I usually do the candle that had the BPR, right, the candle's body. Do remember, do not the wick but the candle's body. Okay, so this is what I ideally do. So after this trade, where should your target be? The first one would be let me the first one would be the 5 hour. Okay, as I said, Your first target should be always, let me tell you something as I shared ahead. No matter how much the price dropped, okay, your first target should be the 5 hour. This is how you're gonna build your psychology. So if you trade live, always take the 70% or 60% off at 5 hour and hold the rest of the trade by doing it break even. So in this scenario, we had this entry, we had our 5 hour 70% off over here. And where should your next target be? The 10 hour. If you get lower than 5 hour, you don't have to trade that particular entry. So this was my tenor. You take the tenor and you are out of the market. But if you had to like target, so your target should be the Asian session low. But as you know, price exactly tags into the Asian session high and it moved up. So what to do after this? As you know, there was no entry and there was not any market structure shift, so that we can know that the market is going to be bullish. So what happened after that is this last low was the liquidity, as I don't teach you in that video. Every high and every low have liquidity among and above and below it. So this was the buy side liquidity. This one have buy side. So this one was buy side liquidity. Okay, this was the high that was swept on 1 minute time frame. So this was the swept or the raid. Okay, so where is your entry gonna be now? This is very important. A guy, like, I don't remember his name, uh, Luca, I guess. Yeah. So what he was doing is he was chasing the market somewhere over here. Okay, his first entry was somewhere over here. So this is completely wrong. If you don't have your entry somewhere over here, like exactly at the top, so you don't have to enter somewhere over here. Okay, exactly, like you can completely ignore it. So in this scenario, I don't have like any entry. This was the fair value gap with the market structure shift, but there was no tag into it. So I will completely ignore this. The reason, because these next entry is there for you to leverage your trade. Let's say, let me show you something. Let's say you have a trade. Let's say example. Let's say I have the first trade over here. Your target is this. Okay, and you have somewhere fair value gap over here. Okay, let's say price tags into it. This is your second entry. That is gonna be your leverage trade. Okay, I will do a complete video on how to leverage your trades. Okay, I guess after this or tomorrow in the morning. So what happens after this is London Killzone closes somewhere where. Okay, now what you would wait for the swept of the London sessions high. Do remember, this is the day where this session liquidity model did not work pretty well. Okay, and on that particular debug, like uh, if you had hold this entry like at like if you had took partial off at 5 hour, right? So let's say you have 3.5 hours somewhere over here, and the 10 hour from somewhere over here. So on a bad day you still bagged like 8 to 10 hour on this day. Okay, after this you see this as a trend line liquidity. So this was the buy side liquidity that was above the London session high. You have equal highs, right? So after this equal highs, what do you see? The London kill zones the high over here. You have break of structure. So if you did not consider this as a breakout structure, you must have done this one. Even if you have ignored this one, you have this market structure. There are like multiple market structure, right here. So this was the fair value gap that was over here. Now if you have to refine, this was the breaker block, and if you can go to like 30 seconds time frame, you can have entry of the breaker block. But I will suggest you to uh, stick with fair value gaps, okay, or fair value gaps or PPR. So you have your entry over here, you have your stop loss above the fair value gap. But let's be honest, I would have my stop loss above here to be safe, because this was like pretty low stop loss, like not even a pip, I guess. 1.6 pips. So where should my target would be? Let me show you. Let me go to 5-minute time frame. As you know, this was your trendline liquidity, and this was the last low that London session made. As I said in the earlier video, if the New York session clears the um high of the this London kill zone, right? So you're gonna target the low of the London kill zone. So this is where my target would be, this low, the first target would be. Okay, so we pegged like 26 pip or 26 hour over here. Do you remember this was the bad day where our entry model did not do pretty well? So even let's say my stop loss somewhere over here. Okay, now either the body of this or the candle of this. If there was somewhere BPR over here, I would have done the body of the candle. Okay, so let's say you took off the like majority of your trade over here, and you have left with 0.10% of your trade, and that 0.10% target would be this Asian session low. Now I don't know if it was hit or not. This was the Asian session low, right? Completely hit it. Okay, so after this, let's move on to so this was 2nd of November. Okay, so on 1st of November you bagged like 25 hour or 10 hour. Okay, 35, and let's say you have five losses. Okay, it's not gonna happen though, but let's say you have 5 losses, so you bagged 30 hour on a bad day. Now coming to the 2nd November, this was a good day, guys. This was the Asian session low, this was the Asian session high. But would we waiting for either the swept of Asian session or either the swept of um, Asian sessions high or low, okay, during the London sessions kill zone. Now the swept of the Asian session lows was somewhere over here. Okay, so it would be doing at that point is, where was it, somewhere over here, right? So this was the swept, right? After the swept, do you see somewhere anywhere like the market structure shift? No, during there was none. This was the last high, this was the last high, this was the last high, and this was the last high. Okay, this was the last high that price made, right? This was the market structure shift. My bad, I messed up with the lines. This was the market structure shift, right? Do you see any fair value gap between this? Yes, and it's there. And with the fair value gap, but you have the inducement for the traders too. Now the smart money traders would have been waiting somewhere below this. Okay, now you have your entry. And what did I told you about? If you have your stop loss like where is the imager tool, like this, if you have your stop loss like this wide, or what you should do is you should refine your stop loss. Now either some of you would have gone with this, or some of you would have gone with this. Let's say you have this, because the same Luca guy Dida took this entry, like this, not this entry, but the entry with us, like the stop loss that wide. Okay, so let me do this one. This should be the like realistic stop loss, right? So where should your target would be? Now this is the main topic. Your target should be the Asian session high. Now where should you be taking the partials? As I said, uh, like you are a beginner with this model, right? So your first target would be the 5 hour, your second target would be the 10 hour. But like if you get some expertise in the model, what I would have done is my first partial would have been somewhere over here, my second partial would have been somewhere over here, and my third and the last partial would have been the Asian session high. Now after Asian session high, we have a market structure shift. Do you see fair value gap anywhere over here? Like this whole area, after it swept the Asian session high, we don't see any fair value gap. We only had the fair value gap somewhere over here. But as I told you, you need to catch the entries like at the top, at the like exact top of the liquidity set or the rates. So this was some like very below, so I would have not took a trade over here. So even after this, you have a liquidity swap again on the, like this is where your London kill zone closed, right? So this was the pre New York opinion 7, right? So this was your pre. After this, what you would be waiting for is a market structure shift. What's this? Your market structure shift. But you have fair value gap. Is it tagged? Yes. This is where you entry. Now coming to the realistic stop loss, this was very wide, this was very wide, and now you see the fair value gap candle is like very big. So either you're gonna take the Fibonacci tool, right? Take it from the high of the fair value gap candle and the low of the fair value gap candle, and entry at the 0.50 level, and your stop loss is gonna be somewhere over here or somewhere over here, or you're gonna take the entries at here and your stop loss would be above the fair value gap. So what I would suggest you is to put your stop loss above the fair value gap candle and take the trade only if the fair value gap candle is like this wide, so you can take the trade on 0.50% level. What happens after this? No, watch this. Where should your first take profit? Pause the video and do let me know. There is like exactly, you can see it, right? So this was the low, it should be your first take profit, right? This was somewhat 8 hour, this was the low, and it had take profit somewhere over here. Now if you had like break even your trade, so this would have been like 0 hour. So as I said, you need to take profit, uh, like let's say you take a partial at somewhere at 5 hour. Okay, now you have your entry at break even. Let's say you took a 5 hour over here and it hit your break even. Now what are you waiting for? Another liquidity swap, because we have the liquidity swap on the sell side. Now there must be some entries. No. So what happens after that? You have the liquidity swapped again on the after the London Killzone side. So this was the liquidity swap, and there was no like literally no entries in this whole selling pressure. There was entry somewhere over here, and this fair value gap, and this fair value gap, and so on. So this was the 2 days. Check this. This is the PM session. Okay, after the the New York session close. This is the after the New York session. That time is known as PM session. So PM session works well for the indices but not for the currencies. So let's say you look for a trade somewhere over here. You had the market structure shift at this point, and there was only this fair value gap. Let's say you took a loss somewhere over here. Okay, after this low swept, okay, you have this high that was taken out somewhere over here, and this was the fair value gap with the BPR, right? So this is where your entry should be, and where should your target would be. Let me show you. This was a news day, I guess. I don't know, like the PI on Wednesday, I guess. I don't remember. So actually this should have been FOMC, I guess, because FOMC comes at this time. So this was your BPR entry. Your target B, your first target would be this high, your second target would be this high, and your last target would have been New York session highs. Okay, now calculate how much did you make in 2 days. 27. Okay, 5 are 19, and this was 25, and 10 hour, and this was the 5 hour that you took partials of. Now do remember, this was the bad entry model day, and this was a good one. So this is how you can trade them, and I will continue from 3rd November from tomorrow. Okay, so I hope this video brings some knowledge to you, and if you are completely beginner to these concepts like ICT, fair value gap, market structure shift, liquidity, you can ask me any question, so I can do a Zoom sessions with you, like one on one, and so I can clear your doubts.